Hello everyone, this is your civil girl and welcome to the third lecture of roof truss design. So in the previous video we found all the loads, the dead load, wind load and live load, and now we have started with the design of Purlin. In case you haven't watched the previous videos, watch it to have some continuity. So let's get started. And before we start, I would really appreciate it if you could smash that like button, drop me a comment and share this free program with anyone who might need it. So coming to the next step, we have to find the moment. So we have found the formula, we have found which is lesser of both, and we have found out that it is ZE Fy divided by gamma m naught. Now coming to the moment about z axis and y axis. We have placed our purlin in this direction. This is my zz axis, this is my yy axis. Therefore, you have to find moment in both the directions. So along z axis, I am going to use the section modulus into Fy divided by gamma m naught. The section modulus that I am going to use here is the bottom section modulus, which is 12.65, and on doing so I will get MdZ. And then to find the bending about y axis, I will use the top section modulus, that is the section modulus with respect to the top fiber. From that I will get my moment value. We have to compare this moment value. So for the given load, we have done the plastic analysis and found that the moment in z direction is so and so and y direction is so and so. So this moment we are getting it after finding the section properties. So we have to make sure that this moment is greater than the moment that is caused by the loads. So 2.876, it is greater than 2.546, therefore it is safe, and similarly in the y direction also it is safe. Next is your check for biaxial bending. So for biaxial bendings, the formula is mx divided by mdz, where mz is nothing but mpz, that is the moment obtained using plastic analysis, and my is mpy, that is the moment in y direction obtained using the plastic analysis. On doing so, you have to make sure that it is less than 1, and it is 0.96, it is less than 1, therefore it is safe in biaxial bending also. Now we are going to check for shear. So I told you that the purlins, since they are placed like this, they act like a continuous beam. So in a continuous beam, what is a continuous beam? So this is my continuous beam. I have UDL all over it. So this is my continuous beam. If I am going to take this section alone, then I will have moment here. So if a section, that is if a support has moment and vertical reaction, then I can take it as a fixed support also. So when I convert that into a simplified form, it becomes like a propped cantilever beam. And for propped cantilever beam, we have to find what is the shear force acting on it. So we already know MPZ is equal to 2.546 kilonewton meter. So MPZ, it is acting here. Okay. And we have to find what is R, so that V acts here. This is your V, that is the shear force. You have to find this shear force. In order to find shear force, you have to know R. If you know R, then you can subtract R from the total load, and then you can get V. So in order to find R, you have to equate the moment about the fixed end. So you already know the moment that is happening here, the MPZ, you already know the answer. So on finding the moment about this point, say about A, then I can say R into 4.5 meter, this is 4.5, minus UDL into the whole distance will give me the load, into the central distance is 4.5 by 2, is equal to MPZ, because here MPZ is acting. I already know MPZ, I am substituting the value. From that I will get R is equal to 3.846 kilonewton. Now I know R, I need to find B, I know the total load. So just doing the summation of all the vertical forces, I can find the shear force acting on it. It is 2.73 kilonewton. After finding the shear force, I have to find what is 0.6 VD. So 0.6 VD is nothing but you have a formula for VD. You can find all this in IS 800. It is very simple. 0.6 into A into FW divided by root 3 into 1.1, where FW is your yield strength of the steel and area is D into T. So D into T, the section which you have taken has the angle section you have taken is, it is 80 into thickness is 8 mm. So D into T, the area is I can substitute it as 80 into 8 into 250. You get that 0.6 VD is equal to 50.38 kilonewton, which is greater than 2.73 kilonewton. So what is this 2.73 kilonewton? 2.73 kilonewton is the shear force acting due to the given load condition and this is the shear force resisted by the given section. Therefore, our section is stronger than the shear force provided. Therefore, it is safe in shear. Now coming to deflection calculation, if you go to IS 800, table number 6, page number 31, for elastic cladding, the limit is span by 150. So my span is 4500 divided by 150, it is around 30 mm. So I have to find, this is my limit, I have to find whether my given section is within the limit. So the check for deflection is summation of del z square plus del y square. So what are these del x and del y? Del z and del y, they are nothing but our deflection formulas, which is phi w L square by 384 EI. The trick here is this wy, it changes here. You have to find what is the value for wy. So going back to the calculations, this is your wy. Wy is equal to 388 minus 1365. So what is this 388? If you come back to our load calculations, the dead load, the summary, after I have summarized all the load calculation, we found the loads in Z and Y direction, right? The total load in Y direction. We know that our critical load combination is dead load plus wind load. Here we are ignoring this 1.5 factor. We are just going to add dead load plus wind load here. So if I add the dead load plus wind load in the Y direction, it becomes 388 minus 1365, which will give me an answer. And similarly, for the Z direction, it becomes 224 plus 0, therefore it becomes 224. So this is how we will find the load acting on a structure for deflection calculation. So you can see here, I have found YW and YZ. Now I am going to substitute them in this formula. So, and I have found the deflection in both Y direction and Z direction, and the deflection formula we already saw, it is the square root of the squares of both delta Y and delta Z. On doing so, I got 13.5 mm, which is less than 30 mm my limit. Therefore, it is safe against deflection also. So with this, we come to the end of the design of purlin. So for the purlin, first we found all the loads that are happening on the purlin. The dead load, live load, wind load, and for the wind load we found so many coefficients, the external and internal coefficients. Then we summarized all the loads. After that, what we did was we found the load combination, and after finding the combination we went to plastic analysis to find the moment, and based on the moment we assumed a section, and for that section we made so many checks so that it passes in both bending, biaxial bending, shear check and deflection check. Now that we have finished the design of purlins, let's come to the load on the truss. That is, now we are going to design the truss itself. Till now we designed all these purlin members. Now we are going to design the truss. So for that we have to find what is the load acting on the truss. So for the dead load, it is the self weight of the sheet in the inclined area. That is the sheet that is provided here. That is equal to 180, which is the self weight already given in the question, into 2 into 5.79 into 4.5. So what is this 5.79? This is my truss in 3D. So 180 is my self weight, and this is my inclined area. 5.79 into 4.5. This will give me my inclined area, and since there are two inclined areas, I am going to multiply them with 2. On multiplying it with the self weight, I will get my answer in Newton, because here I am multiplying the area. This is in Newton per meter square. Since I am multiplying the area, I will get it in Newton. For the Purlin calculation, we found it for Newton per meter. Here we will find it for Newton only. Next is the weight of purlins. So on the truss, the purlins are also acting. Now we have designed the purlins, so we don't have to assume the weight of the purlins. So we have to find how many purlins are going to be placed. For that, when we look at the diagram, in the given question they have told that the purlins will be placed only at the panel points. So these are my panel points. So you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 purlins are present. Therefore, I have 8 purlins, and from my section classification, I know what is the weight of the purlin also. ISA 80 by 8. the weight is 9.6 kg per meter, which is equal to 94.176 Newton per meter. So on multiplying it with the span, which is 4.5 meter, and the number of purlins, I will get the weight of purlins also. Next, the self weight of the truss on the plan area. Now we have to find the self weight of the truss itself. Since we haven't found the type of section that we are going to provide, we have a thumb rule here. So we have formula. So this formula is arrived from so many calculations. In case you want it, let me know in the comments below. I'll provide a link to it. So it is equal to W is equal to L by 3 plus 5 into 10, where L is your span, which is 10 meter by 3. This is span of the truss, 10 meter by 3 plus 5 into 10. On doing so, you'll get 83.3 Newton per meter square. Also, since it's in Newton per meter square, I have to multiply it by area. Since I'm finding plan area, I'll multiply the plan area. I'll get the self weight. Next, I have to find what is the weight of the bracings. So for the bracing, since we haven't designed the bracing, I'm going to assume that it is 20 Newton per meter square on the plan area. So plan area, again, it is 10 into 4.5, which is 45 meter square. On doing so, I'll get my weight of bracing. Now on adding all these things, I'll get my total dead load. So we'll discuss about the total live load and wind load acting on the structure in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you. Bye.